morning, good afternoon, good evening. You're watching PNT. I'm your host, amazed that not one of you has caught on to it yet. Up front this week, according to multiple sources and an article published by The Sun, a resident near Newcastle, UK may have captured the first recording of a Loch Ness-type monster, but far from the Scottish Loch. Newcastle resident Kevin Burton was sitting on a pier of the River Tyne enjoying a cup of morning coffee when he spotted something strange moving through the nearby waters. Quickly getting out his camera, Burton snapped several pictures of the aquatic anomaly, along with a short video segment that appears to show a dark serpentine mass moving lazily about the cove, submersing from time to time as though feeding. Burton posted the footage on social media with the caption, "I think I witnessed the first sighting of the Loch Ness Monster outside of Scotland." The Loch Ness Monster, also known as Nessie, has long been believed to reside in the cold waters of the Scottish Loch, but has never been seen this far south. While cryptid hunters have been eager to point to the footage as proof of an unknown aquatic animal, local boaters aren't so certain, with one commentator on Burton's YouTube page stating that the sea serpent is in fact a rubber deck mat that had fallen in the water and gotten caught in the tide, with water currents causing the swimming motions. From sunbathing sea serpents to atmospheric antics, our next story takes us back across the pond to New Jersey, where a mysterious floating package has caused quite a stir. According to a report by a local New York NBC affiliate, a mysterious styrofoam box attached to a red parachute set off a bomb scare when local solar power workers watched as the device gently landed in a field near New Brunswick. Investigating the package, the workers found a handwritten note attached to the device that read, "NASA Atmospheric Research Instrument, not a bomb. If found, please call this number. If this lands near the president, we at NASA wish him a great round of golf." Despite the note, the solar workers were alarmed by the weird noise the package was emitting and decided to call the authorities. Local police dispatched officers and a bomb squad to the area, who were able to quickly determine that the device was in fact exactly what it appeared to be: a weather balloon instrument that measures ozone in the upper stratosphere. The package had been labeled in a mischievous manner by the student, who was later removed from the study due to his amusing aerial anecdotes. While a total of 6 balloons were released, to date only 2 have been recovered. NASA officials state that they are taking steps to standardize the labeling of scientific instruments and promise that any members of the populace who might find the missing 4 packages have nothing to fear, which PNT cannot help but note is precisely what a government agency involved with seeding jet contrails with bioengineered mind control tracking devices via swamp gas-filled weather balloons would say. For our final part of our weekly roundup of the weird, PNT is pleased to bring you another fascinating report drawn from the MUFON database and brought to our attention by our erstwhile volunteer researcher, Turtle M. After viewing our previous week's coverage of the odd cigar-shaped craft captured by a pilot in the airspace over the UK, Turtle M noticed a marked similarity in a case that recently occurred half a world away in Amherst, Massachusetts. Occurring on August 25th of this year, the witness captures what appears to be an identical UFO as that in the UK incident, hovering and moving over Amherst. Let's have a look at the footage. was the object caught on tape hovering and slowly moving over the city of Amherst, Massachusetts last August 25th. Ruling out the usual birds, drones, planes, flares, and Scottish caber tossing events, PNT was struck as well by the marked similarities between not only the UK footage, but to the footage recorded in New Hampshire last year. One of the most remarkable facts about these footages is that they all occur during daylight conditions, far cry from vague lights at night. Second is the lack of any apparent control surfaces on the craft. Appearing to merely hover in place and slowly turn about, the craft do not match any known flight characteristics of civilian or military craft. As we covered in our previous episode on the UK UFO, the closest match PNT could find was the Ascender-type aerial instrument platforms used in civilian and military applications. As we noted then, even these platforms rely on one or more balloon arms and framework in order to achieve flight stability. If one were to break apart or even to deflate, the remaining craft could not maintain the altitude or perform the motion seen in the UK and Amherst tapes. Intrigued by the similarities, but frustrated by the lack of a logical explanation, PNT scoured even deeper to see if we could find a match. We ultimately found what we believed to be a plausible explanation in a blast from the past, a device known as a solar balloon. Essentially a long black plastic bag, these devices are often used to demonstrate the principles of lift to elementary school students. After filling the long tube with air, the ends are sealed. As the black plastic absorbs the sunlight, the air inside the bag is heated and begins to rise, lifting the solar balloon into the air by the same method as a hot air balloon. With solar balloons often being 10 to 20 feet long, PNT reasoned that a tethered solar balloon might well present the same effects that we see in the videos. At least, that was the plan. Diligently constructing a solar balloon from easily found plans online, we filled our creation with air and impatiently waited for science to take its course. Science was to ultimately disappoint us, however, for even with the addition of several helium balloons inside our tube of taped-together trash bags, the contraption was unable to obtain enough lift to get off the ground, much less several hundred feet in the air. Luck was with us on our first attempt, however, as a convenient dust devil sent our scientific Serpent sailing into the stratosphere. Fortunately, we were filming the experiment and were able to get a brief video segment of our experiment in the air before it vanished into parts unknown. While we were unable to conclusively match our creation against the craft seen on the footage, we did discover that size can be quite deceptive, with our balloon only being roughly 12 feet long, but appearing much larger and longer once aloft. So, with the science failing us on the practical front, we were forced to turn back to the logical possibilities. If these are solar balloons, then they're being sent aloft by someone with a great deal of time and money on their hands. The amount of helium alone to fill a 20-foot-long, 4-foot-wide tube of black plastic is likely to be beyond the reach and budget of most, and even if this were achievable, the more pertinent question remains: why? As covered in our previous story today, a far less complicated way to gather atmospheric data would be via weather balloons, which bear little to no resemblance to what we're seeing here. Other curiosities come to light on examining the new footage and that of the UK sighting. The craft itself appears to be rotating. While PNT cannot completely rule out image artifacting, there appears to be a marked spiral present on both craft. With analysis proving both to be solid objects, what does that leave us with? Barring the utterly ridiculous idea that these could be escaped party balloons, say of the number 1 or perhaps the I in idiot, that still fails to account for their size, holding position, or rotational characteristics. So again, PNT is forced to admit that logic has again led us to a dead end. With our failure to reproduce the effect seen and confirm the solar balloon hypothesis, we must again classify this strange craft as a genuine, unidentified flying object. But whether the reports of these cigar-shaped craft continue, and what the possible ramifications of these rarest of UFO sightings might be, remains to be seen. PNT will be keeping our eyes open for similar eyewitness accounts. But whether or not the objects caught on tape hovering over cities in New Hampshire, Oxfordshire, and now Amherst, Massachusetts, are a common science experiment, military surveillance craft, or perhaps the presence of an advanced alien race, we'll leave up to you to decide. Sound off in the comment section below with your thoughts. That's it for this time, faithful viewers. Be sure to click like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell icon to be notified when we upload your next portion of the paranormal. I'm your host, reminding you to keep an open mind, because a closed one shuts out the truth.